above us and how we will feel these themes and influences down here on planet Earth amongst us, and how you can co-create with this week's astrology in order to live your most magical, your most aligned life. And before we dive into the astrological occurrences of this week, which P.S. there's a lot, I want to firstly just make this an eclipse season check-in point and just ask you, how is that Aries solar eclipse for you? Are you okay? What's been coming up? I know a lot of people are feeling very energized and activated, as this was a big foreshadow as it relates to the work that we will be doing during the forthcoming North Node and Aries transit. So it's a very significant eclipse. But let me tell you, that one knocked me onto my butt. Oh my goodness. So drained, so exhausted, so intense, so chaotic. My mentor used to always tell me, he's like, Haley, florists have Valentine's Day, accountants have tax time, astrologers have eclipse season. The reason why eclipse season is astrologers' busy season is because the energy feels so wacky and so cuckoo that a lot of people are looking for answers. And even I, someone who dove deep into understanding these particular eclipses, I was navigating last week like, what is this? This is a lot. Oh my. So firstly, I just want to say, whether you're on the side around you felt super energized and inspired during that eclipse, or you were like me and that one completely knocked you out, so drained, so tired. I had so many headaches. That was a lot. So wherever it is that you are on the spectrum, giving yourself grace as you move into this week. It's an intense time, okay? It's not in your head. You're not, being lazy. If you need more rest, I deeply encourage it. Keep in mind that particular Aries eclipse was answering to Mars in Cancer. Mars is still in Cancer this week, and we have some Mars aspects. With Mars in a position of essentially not being dignified, we can find that our energy levels are a little bit waxing and waning, a little bit fluctuating. So I just want to say, if you're noticing that you're napping more, there's an intensity within the collective, as well as the plan of action and assertion is sort of like up and down. So the best thing that you can do is really just be so diligent about your self-care, sleep lots, spend time in nature, lay low. You don't need to be doing all the things right now, okay? Now, this week doesn't have an eclipse, but that doesn't mean that that eclipse energy isn't still hanging in the air as pungent as a strong perfume, okay? And it's not the sweetest of perfumes. It's one of those really intense ones that just like arrests your nose and like gets into your throat. It's intense, it's strong, it's pungent, because we are officially in the window between eclipses, which is considered a very karmic fated time. And because of that, I want you to pay attention to what comes up this week, because when things happen during eclipses, it's not random. It's not random. People that you meet during this window are not random. It could be someone deeply important for the next chapter in your journey, as well as people who depart your life. News that you find out in between eclipses is also significant. It can reveal certain themes that'll come up, whether, that person kind of departing your life at this time, like just going separate ways, or that piece of news continuing to snowball. It's deeply important to pay special attention to what occurs during this time. I actually, within my journals, I always have this little highlighter where I mark things that happen around eclipses, because it's really fascinating. When you go back, you'll realize, oh, whoa, I randomly met that person, and then 6 months later, this whole thing happened. Or I first heard about that job and it didn't work out that round, then I got it 6 months later. There's more than meets the eye as it relates to this particular time, as well as that frenetic, now or never, I've got to change something within my life. Energetic is still very active in the air, okay? So we are not totally clear-minded. We're seeing things very emotionally and through a very volatile lens, especially considering some of the energy of this week. So we are in between eclipses, and when it comes to this week, we have some helpful grounding energy around really being able to pick up the pieces of what's been exploding in our life this eclipse season and being like, okay, everything's out in the open. How am I going to put things back together again? Or, oh, I had this revelation, or you told me this bit of info. How are we going to construct our pathway forward? What comes next, right? So we have some helping hands for that. We have Sun sextile Saturn, and we have Venus sextile Chiron, which is just this energy around, okay, once you know something, you can't not know it. Once something's out, you can't put it back in. What are we going to do about it? What's our pathway forward? Now that this event happened during last week's solar eclipse, what is our pathway forward? How are we going to fix it? How are we going to move forward? So we have two supportive energies for that, but then we also have Mars square Chiron. It's like that sensation when you're deep cleaning your house and things need to get worse before they get better. You know, when you're cleaning, you take all this stuff out and then you realize, oh, I have to clean this, and you take out all this stuff, and all of a sudden there's all these belongings on the ground. You're in the midst of all of these different projects and it looks so much messier than what it looked like when you first began, right? It is creating the pathway forward for healing, but sometimes things do need to get a little bit worse before they get better. It's like an argument where a piece of information comes out and you kind of got to leave it all on the table. It hurts. It's an ouch. There's pieces where it's like, woo, I did not know you felt like that, or ooh, I did not know you did that, right? It's like putting all this stuff out there, making a bigger mess for the purpose of creating our pathway forward. Okay, so there is some helping hands that I'm going to encourage you to seize as we navigate this week's astrology, but also know there's going to be certain pangs. And like sometimes, whether it's to an emotional level or the mess that we are cleaning up within our life, sometimes things do have to get a little bit worse. We have to take all of our relationship problems out on the table. We have to take all of the junk that's hiding in our closets and put it down on the ground. We have to make it all visible so that we can genuinely clean up, genuinely heal our relationship, genuinely create a pathway forward. But sometimes this week's astrology will show us things have to get a little bit messier before they get cleaner. We have to get a little bit more hurt sometimes for us to create the pathway forward towards healing. So we will be getting into it all thematically as well as day by day. I just want to make a quick note that if you do get any value from the content, I would deeply appreciate any bit of engagement that you can give, whether it's a like, a comment, a share, truly any of those buttons below. It's just so helpful for me to continue to create cosmic content. All timestamps are available below should you want to jump to a particular day, jump back to a particular day, and all time zones that I mention are PDT. So please adjust to your time zone before putting it into your planner and making a mental note of when these aspects specifically occur. Today we just have, just a typical cup of coffee, okay? Just sticking to the classics to navigate through eclipse season. It's all that we can do. So cheers, my loves. Let's take it into Vibe Check of the Week. So if you are new here, firstly, hello, welcome. My name's Haley Comet, so lovely to have you here. Secondly, Vibe Check of the Week is a segment that we do every single week on Magic Monday where we liken all of that energy that I was just chatting you through. So Mars sextile Uranus, Venus sextile Chiron, the lingering intensity of eclipse fate in the air. We liken all of that to a real life scenario so that even if you forget the nuances of the particular aspects that we will experience as we navigate this week's astrology, you can sort of have a vision or a scenario or an emotion to have in your mind to understand how it'll play out within your universe, right? So this week's astrology feels like going to therapy for the first time. And choosing to go to therapy because of a big blow up within your life, which in this case would be the Aries solar eclipse last week squaring Pluto, the planet of destruction and rebirth. As I highlighted, we all experience eclipses differently. Some of you could have felt this amazing, energizing, activating flow of energy around getting excited about the new pathway forward. Maybe being scared about it, but really digging deep in order to unearth courage about the new pathway forward, and maybe choosing to go to therapy in order to really understand how you can move into this new era powerfully. Some individuals with that eclipse, it was not so positive of an explosion. It was an explosion around a change that you're being forced to make, something coming out that's sort of prompting you in a new direction that you're not sure if you're ready for, things that you thought were steady feeling like they're being slipped away. And this is sort of the energy around, okay, I've got to take my life into my own hands. I need to go to therapy to deal with all that came out. So we all experienced last week's blow up differently, which, by the way, to understand what's playing out with your chart due to these eclipses, make sure to check out the All Signs Eclipse Season deep dive to get more information on that. But regardless, the thread is the same around something came out, whether it's a new journey, a new passion, a bit of information that's making you, be single or something of that nature. A new journey is starting, and it came out in a very urgent, intense way. And it's just almost like after an explosion, it's like there's just stuff everywhere. And it's like, okay, how do we put the pieces back together again? And to an emotional level, many people go to therapy. And this is sort of representative in this week because of Venus sextile Chiron, which is just energy around, okay, I value myself enough to want to create the pathway forward for healing. We also have Sun sextile Saturn, which is around, okay, things are intense. What am I going to do about it? How am I going to practically make my life better? Now that whatever came out during the Aries solar eclipse, whatever I realized, whatever revelation, how am I going to use this information to build my pathway forward in a very Taurus way, right? Slow and steady. And just like I was saying in the intro, sometimes things have to get a little bit worse before they get better. You go to therapy for this particular aim, and when you're there, all of a sudden it's just like this unraveling of all of these different arenas of your life that you didn't even realize were kind of suppressed within you. And that's sort of echoed by the Mars square Chiron, where it's like you came just for this piece of your life, but it turns out that this piece of your life was actually just damaged because of this piece of your life. And the more deeper that you get, the more of just a mess it is. And it just feels overwhelming at times, right? To be like, okay, there's so much that needs to be fixed here, right? When you clean your house, it's so messy. Where do we even start? When you have a fight with your significant other, there's so much that just came out. Where do we even start? And like at therapy, it's just like more and more comes out, and there can be a temptation to just walk away, be like, okay, this is way too much. This is a mess. I'm meant to be getting better. Why is more stuff coming out? But sometimes you do have to go deeper in order to create that pathway towards healing or into building the new life that this eclipse season is sort of nudging you towards. I'm not guaranteeing it's going to be clean. It's going to be quite messy, right? There's going to be an unspooling this week around things buried within us that we didn't even realize were something that we held resentment around or something that we were mad about or what have you. And there is a danger with Mars square Chiron to lash out because of that, to lash out at the therapist and be like, you're just trying to make me talk about all this stuff because you just want more of my money and you just want more of my time, and I'm fine, I'm doing fine. All I want to do was fix this one arena of my life. But again, there's a depth there, and there is a powerful angle we're able to find this week should we be able to be open to new ways, that's Mars sextile Uranus, new Uranus, ways of advocating for ourselves, of taking action, that's Mars, right? Our life does not change until we do. Now, I say that not because I want you to disrupt your entire life this eclipse season. A lot of us, when you get eclipsed, change is forced upon you. So some people's lives are changing because there's literally no other choice, okay? I talk about this deeper within the eclipse season video as well as within last week's Magic Monday, both of which will be linked in the description. But I'm not saying you need to, like, if all this stuff's coming out, you're like, I need to leave my relationship and I need to move and like all of this stuff is coming out. The best thing that you could do during eclipses is lie low, introspect, do the work around observing what is coming out, staying present and open to doing that work. I'm not saying you have to disrupt your life right away. In fact, if you are feeling this urgent call to want to disrupt life, it can be you wanting to kind of like run away from what's coming up, right? So it's not me saying you need to change your entire life, change location, change relationship, all of these things. What I am saying is that there is a potent opportunity to change behavior, which therapy oftentimes is helpful in recognizing certain loops that you've been in and creating a pathway in order to choose different responses, which is the energy of Mars sextile Uranus, around advocating for ourselves in new ways, taking action in new ways, and with Mars in Cancer, perhaps in a more soulfully aligned way, right? And it's so frustrating, but like with the Sun sextile Saturn and Mars sextile Uranus, there's just a resounding feeling this week around our lives won't change until we do. And I'm not saying you have to change the external circumstances, where you live, what relationship you're in. I'm saying this week there's a potent opportunity to reflect on and find the inner loops that you've been stuck in, or else you'll just be in a new place to live, a new relationship, a new job with those same themes coming in. Wherever you go, there you are, right? And so I'm not literally saying everybody needs to go to therapy, but this week does feel like this energy where there is potent opportunities to observe, okay, what blew up in my life? What revelations am I having? And before I change my life, right? Mercury's retrograde, there's no rush for us to do all the things right now. Before I change my life, let me really look inward. Let me really process and see, what is it that I'm running from? What am I avoiding? What loops have I been stuck in, right? To ensure the next actions that you take, it's not you running from something, right? It's you genuinely building your most aligned pathway forward. So let's give this some detail with our day-by-day analysis, starting with Monday, April 23rd.
Just a quick reminder that a new month is upon us, and with the new month comes new opportunities for magic and co-creating with the cosmos. And that is why I make you this digital astrology planner every single month as part of my Magic Monthly membership to give you a big picture look at the astrology that we are moving through every month, recommendations for each of the full moon, new moons, as well as co-creative opportunities for each of these aspects to really live with more alignment with these cosmic influences that we are moving through. So the digital planner is fully customizable to your chart, and I also make you this printable calendar that lets you know with little icons what each of these aspects are good for. So there are 3 tiers available within Magic Monthly. I'm so grateful to you for supporting the channel, and now let's get back to the magic.
So welcome to your forecast for Monday. It's April 24th, isn't it? Have I been saying the 23rd? Have I been saying the 23rd? No. Oh my gosh. Okay, welcome to your forecast for Monday, April 24th. I am so sorry about that. My Virgo moon self is cringing. My excuse will be that Mercury's retrograde. Okay, Mercury's retrograde, I'm so sorry. Welcome to your forecast for Monday, April 24th. So the day starts out with the moon in the sign Gemini. Now, while we were asleep, there is a Gemini moon sextiling Jupiter in Aries, which is just a soft burst of can-do energy, just in case anybody anywhere in the world is awake for that. For a lot of us, it may just be a good dream, especially with the Gemini moon squaring off with Neptune right after. And you can expect a sleepy, slow start to your Monday because the moon is void after the Gemini moon squares Neptune in Pisces. The moon will be void from 5:15 a.m. to 11:58 a.m., at which point the moon enters Cancer. So when it comes to a void moon, when the moon is void, important tasks we must avoid, okay? So take it slow as you enter into your Monday. Water your plants, take a long time getting ready. Maybe make your to-do list. Maybe softly just acclimate to the week ahead. We can certainly expect a sleepy start with that moon square Neptune. There could have been a dream that made you feel like you were just in a totally different dimension. You might just have this strong feeling of just like, I don't want to, like feet in the ground, just be like, I don't want to do the tasks. I don't want to do the responsibilities. I just want to frolic in a meadow. I want to be in dreamland, right? That can be a Gemini moon squaring Neptune energy as well. And I would definitely say working out, cleaning, handling things around the home is very supportive. If you do have to be at work, strive to stick to more mundane matters. Maybe list out everything that you need to get done. Again, in not a frantic way, in a calm, practical, step-by-step. Because do keep in mind, the Gemini moon is answering to Mercury, who is retrograde in the sign Taurus. So if you go too fast, you will slip up, okay? So with the Gemini moon sextiling Jupiter in Aries earlier in the day, there can be this burst of can-do energy around, I'm gonna do all the things. Slow and steady, cross your T's, dot your I's. There is no rush, there is no rush, there is no rush. When the moon enters Cancer, we have a very moony Monday, right? So Monday, the day of the week, is governed by the moon. Cancer is governed by the moon. So we are deep in the feels. We are extra responsive and moody to the world around us. There is a sextile to the Taurus sun, which makes this the official waxing crescent moon phase. So there is a certainty around how it is that we feel at this time. So allowing all of the feels. Like I said, eclipses are no joke. Even if you're emotional and you don't know why, like collectively, it's heavy, it's intense, it's fraught with energy and anxiety and restlessness and intensity. I'm telling you, every time I've been going outside during eclipses, I've been getting such bad headaches just being around crowds, being around other people. It's just like an intense time, okay? So again, with the moon in Cancer, honoring the flow of your emotions, there is some grounding energy with the Cancer moon sextile Taurus sun. Great night to bake some comfort food, honestly, to bake something that makes you feel nurtured, to eat something that makes you feel nurtured, to do something that makes you feel nurtured. I mean, let's be real. Taurus sun, Cancer moon, these are energies that are near champions as it relates to self-care. So really, really great self-care moon day opportunity here. Be gentle with yourself if you're not necessarily feeling apt to do all the things. Slow and steady is better than rushed at this time. Honor your fluctuations. You might have agreed to a social outing and then feeling this energy around, like I'd rather not. Honor what it is that you need at this time. And the reason I say that is because the Cancer moon does trine Saturn in Pisces. So at this time, we can find that we really are exuding this emotional maturity around what it is that we need. So whether that is enacting a boundary, whether it is saying no to a social outing, whatever it is that you need, I just want you to give that to yourself and just really strive to create that sturdiness, create that grounding. When it comes to eclipse season, especially since Taurus season, connect physically to your body. It's a lot of like really head energy. There's a lot of kind of erratic electricity in the air. Ground down, spend time in nature, whatever just soothes the soul. Please do that on Monday. And just the Cancer moon trining Saturn just kind of gives us some steadiness and some sturdiness as we do that emotional excavation, essentially. And I just want to say, as we wrap up Monday's horoscope, is that if anybody is like me and gets incredibly guilty when you have to rest or when you need to rest or when you want to rest, I just want to say, this is your cosmic permission slip. Please check in. Please soothe yourself. Please take it slow. This is your time. You're welcome to use it as you see fit. And there will always be more tasks. That's what's so frustrating for me as a Virgo moon. I feel like I'm constantly doing tasks and there's always more tasks. There will always be tasks, right? There's always things that you could be doing, and it's really up to you as, the boss, the CEO, the captain, the ruler of your life. You need to decide, no, I need this time, right? Because no one else will decide it for you. So taking that rest unabashedly. Like, I was so shook that I napped last week. I know that doesn't feel like an earth-shattering event, but in my world, it is. I never nap. But in the middle of the day, I just had to go to dreamland. I just had to check out. I was like, I can't, which was shocking to me. And then I did feel kind of guilty, but I was like, girl, if you were able to fall asleep in the middle of the day, I find it very challenging to fall asleep. There's something going on. So especially while Mars in Cancer, let's just really listen to our body. Let's really take care of ourselves without guilt. It's eclipse season. Do what it is that you need to do to take care of yourself. Rest is not a waste of time. We have these human bodies. We need to take care of them, especially while the sun is in Taurus. So on Tuesday, April 25th, a perfect date, may I add, the moon continues on in Cancer. And to mirror the vibe check, this is sort of the day where you are essentially like, okay, I need to take things into my own hands. I need to book this therapist's appointment. And it's like you go to the first one and you guys are starting to get into it and you feel excited. You're like, yes, I'm doing something to better my life. With the sun sextile Saturn, that is sort of the energetic around I'm taking my life into my own hands, right? I'm creating this structure. I'm creating these responsibilities. I'm creating these boundaries in order to better my life, because my life will not change until I do. And that can be so infuriating to be like, am I the problem, right? And there just feels to be this maturity and this taking of our lives into our own hands, right? Which therapy would be one avenue of doing so. Because have you ever felt that? Have you ever felt stuck in a loop where it's like maybe you felt the exact same relationship dynamic, but with multiple people? So it's different faces, but same energetic. Or maybe you felt this with jobs. It's different bosses, same problems. Or maybe you felt this with place to live, different addresses, same issues. Those loops that we get stuck in where all of a sudden you have to take that moment to be like, wait, is there something I'm doing? Is there a reason why I fight with every single roommate that I move in with? Is there a reason why I get insanely jealous when it relates to my relationships? Is there a reason why I pick these very, very domineering, intense bosses to work with? Taking that moment for sort of self-reflection and really with the sun sextile Saturn to be like, how can I take things into my own hands? Because I always say, I'm not saying that any of these things, bad bosses, bad roommates, I'm not saying any of these things are your fault, but essentially with Sun sextile Saturn, creating a pathway forward to improve things is your responsibility, right? And when it comes to these loops that we get stuck in, it takes that moment to reflect, which Mercury retrograde is very supportive of. Mercury retrograde is such an optimal time to look inward, right? It's not saying that you shouldn't get out of that relationship if it's not for you. It's not saying you shouldn't quit that job if it's toxic. It's not saying that there aren't issues with your roommate that are legitimate and valid, but it's saying, before I make these shifts, let me look inward so I don't just change my world and get stuck in the same dynamic, because maybe there is something that I'm bringing to the table that's contributing to this dynamic playing out over and over again. Has anyone been stuck in one of those loops? Oh my gosh, it's so frustrating to be like, wherever I go, there I am. Wherever I go, there I am. Wherever I go, there I am. Because obviously we have our natal chart, and I am of the belief that we can grow beyond certain dynamics within our natal chart, but sometimes we can just feel so beholden to certain energies that we just constantly play out and observing, this is not serving me. How do I change? How do I change? How do I change? So this feels like the energy in the vibe check where it's like, something needs to give. I need to build a new positive direction within my life. I had this blow up last week. I had this inspiration last week. I had this fight last week. Whatever your eclipse story was, right? I had this happen last week. What am I going to do about it? What's my pathway forward? Which many people turn to therapy for. We also have Venus sextile Chiron, which is a healing balm as it relates to our own vision of our own beauty, as it relates to our relationships as well. With Venus and Gemini, this is a really optimal time to talk through any problems in your relationship, especially with Sun sextile Saturn the same day as well, around, okay, how can we build together? And with Venus sextile Chiron, how can we heal together? What are we creating together? As well as with this energy, healing any energies of guilt that you may have as it relates to your finances. Have you mismanaged your finances or anything of that nature? There is a healing balm over that arena. All in all, sextiles are opportunity aspects. So I'm not saying you have to dive deep. I'm not saying you have to, carve your plan around how to improve things. I'm not saying you have to heal these Venusian affairs of love, beauty, money. I'm just saying there's an opportunity to do so this week, right? And with eclipses, it is timeline acceleration. So sometimes stuff comes up, and sometimes that stuff coming up is such a blessing, right? Because whether we learn something about someone that was really shady, like I think oftentimes that could be our angels, that could be our spiritual support team who's like, hey, you need to know this about this person, right? Or even in a fight, even if there are some things that are hurtful said and things have to get more messy before they get clean, it is helpful to have that stuff out in the open, because if you don't know all the things, you can't create the pathway forward, right? So Tuesday feels like a day where we're taking matters into our own hands. How will this play out for you? This could play out in incredibly mundane ways. This could play out around every time you go to your desk drawer is always so messy that you can't even open it, but you're like, oh, I don't have time, I'll do it tomorrow. Like Sun sextile Saturn is like, no, this is annoying. Let me take things into my own hands to positively improve the quality of my life, right? So whether it's choosing to streamline something, simplify something, solve a problem that's been annoying, again, Mercury retrograde sort of brings up things from the past, or just ongoing arenas that just always felt important but not urgent, tasks that you kind of swat away like a little fly, like go away, I'll deal with it later. Deal with the laters now, okay? With Sun sextile Saturn supporting us around, let's improve our life. It would be nice to open the drawer without having to yank it open every single time because it's so full. Wouldn't that be pleasant? Wouldn't that lead to a better experience at your desk? Little things like that could be micro ways that this really plays out. And I do feel a lot of you guys are going to feel this within relationship dynamics because of Venus sextile Chiron around, okay, we're stuck in this loop. You and I are stuck in this argument loop because maybe it's not a you thing. Maybe it's like you and your partner, it's like different fights, same core issue, same arena of disrespect that you're feeling, right? And the fights are just it by a different name. Like with Sun sextile Saturn, it's like, okay, what are we going to do about this? How are we going to solve this and create a path forward to healing without getting trapped into this? Because we don't change, it doesn't change until we do. And rather than just departing the relationship, because with that Aries solar eclipse, I do feel that there can be a desire to just be like, well, I'm just going to start new with somebody else. And don't get me wrong, a lot of people are being guided, they're being eclipsed to start a new journey on their own, right? The Aries energy. Not everybody is breaking up. That's not everybody's story. But I will say, like, when it comes to Aries solar eclipse, there could be this energy around, well, it'd just be easier to start something new than clean up this mess with you, right? Or like when you take out all this stuff, when you're cleaning the house and everything's on the ground and there's junk everywhere. I'm just going to buy a new house because I don't want to go through all this stuff. It's like, no, let's learn from the stuff that we have here in our house. Let's learn from this dynamic within our relationship so that if we really do need a new house, if we really do need a new relationship, we aren't getting into that same loop. We're not stuffing our new house full with junk in every single closet. We're not getting into the same fights with our new relationship. Let's find clarity. That's what Mercury retrograde is for. And let's take this opportunity, take things into our own hands to positively find improvements, as mundane as they may be, as like cleaning out your closet or creating, new boundaries within your relationship, whatever. Take things in your own hand. Notice what's annoying you, notice what's frustrating you, and find ways that you can proactively solve that issue. Take things into your own hands. So that energy I was telling you about around Tuesday being a supportive day to have conversations with your lovers, people that you're dating, is bolstered by the Cancer moon sextiling Mercury in Taurus. Again, Mercury retrograde, we can be thinking a lot about the past. We could be reworking our Tauran affairs, which is money, values, things of that nature, reclarifying our values. There can be a fight from the past coming back, and just feels like with the Cancer moon, we are able to gently deal with those issues and obviously with Sun sextile Saturn, be realistic about what it's going to take in order to solve this dynamic with the Cancer moon, really being compassionate around it. I will just say that evening, the Cancer moon does conjoin Mars in Cancer, so it could be hard to go to sleep, feeling very restless. You can be a little bit more emotional and a little bit more impulsive because of those emotions, right? So really just striving, if you do choose to have a conversation, there's some supportive energy really earlier in the day, and that evening just really striving to listen before reacting, right? Listen to what's being said before responding within your emotions. That gap time is so important as we navigate eclipse season. And because the Mars square Chiron energy is building later that week, the Cancer moon, after conjoining Mars, does square Chiron. So we're more sensitive, we're reacting more knee-jerk to what's coming up, right? It's that energy like when you first get to therapy and you're bringing things out and you're like, yeah, I'm going to improve my life, and stuff starts coming out, and there's almost this energy to want to be defensive and be like, well, what do you mean we need to look at that arena of my life? Or when you take out all this stuff, striving to be proactive, think long term, right? And just avoid lashing out from that energy of reactivity. The Cancer moon also sextiles Uranus and Taurus. So just a nice time to do something new. Maybe watch a new movie, bake something. I just love eating when the sun's in Taurus and moon's in Cancer. These are like the most nourishing energy. But really anything new, that's the energy of Uranus, that nurtures you, is supportive on Tuesday. It might be a nice funnel to put some of that Mars aggression into, right? So on Wednesday the 26th, there is some tendencies towards excess. The Cancer moon really craves a lot of nourishment, a lot of comfort, right? And with the square to Jupiter in Aries, we can go towards excess. This can show up in a myriad of ways, whether it's, somebody brings muffins to the office and we eat 3 and you don't feel so good, right? It's like one muffin tasted good and you just wanted that to continue going, and you kind of go towards excess. Maybe online shopping during your break, or maybe even a long lunch with somebody where it just feels so good to be chatting that you accidentally chat into your next meeting, what have you. Things that feel good, you expect it to keep feeling good, but not everything continues to feel good, right? And there also can be some procrastination. We're being a little bit more optimistic in how much time things will logically take with the Cancer moon scoring to Jupiter in Aries. Double check, reread. Both of these are very knee-jerk, instinctual signs. So there can be energy around, it's fine, I don't really want to deal with it, because the Cancer moon then trines Neptune in Pisces. So it's head in the clouds, procrastinating, daydreaming, looking out the window and then be like, oh yeah, it's fine. I'm not saying don't daydream. My entire life is a daydream. I'm a Pisces, I'm pro daydream. But what I'm saying is just ensure with the Cancer moon that you're not having this energy around, it's fine, because Mercury's retrograde, okay? Give yourself lots of time to handle everything, because with the Cancer moon square Jupiter in Aries, you're like, I have time to take a long lunch. It'll only take me 3 minutes to prep for that meeting. Take a little bit of extra time. Make sure the printer's working, because I'm telling you, the printers in this world have a conspiracy. The cars in this world have a conspiracy. The phones in this world have a conspiracy that they all stop working during Mercury retrograde or do not cooperate. So make sure to allot extra time to deal with stuff like that. But really, you know, the energy of Wednesday sort of feels like a happy cry. When you finally cry and then just all of this stuff comes out, and it honestly just feels so good. Can you tell I'm a water sign? Sometimes it can feel very good to cry. It is a release, right? And sometimes when you allow yourself, when you've been, you know, strong for so long and you just allow yourself to cry, it could sort of be this gushing out. And you do feel the sensation of bliss after a little bit, right? Like, it just reminds me of this one time I flew to visit my friend in New York on the Pisces full moon. I had taken a red eye to get there. Once I landed and like fought my way to Brooklyn where my friend lives, you know, hadn't slept, and because they were just waking up, they're like, let's go to brunch. And then from brunch, you know, we went shopping, you know, just like a fun day. And then dinner, we went to a comedy show, we went out dancing. It was just like a long day, right? And I had not slept the night prior. So it was nonstop, right? So much fun. But after we got back dancing, I don't know why. I think I saw something on my phone. I don't remember what prompted it. I really do think it was because of the lack of sleep, but I just became a waterfall of tears. And to me, it's so embarrassing to cry. Like, again, I'm a Pisces sun, so I am emotional, but I'm a Virgo moon. So like, I'm gonna keep that internal until I feel a sense of control over it. So I just went into the closet, which is where my suitcase was, and I just sobbed into my suitcase, and I did it into the clothes so that no one would hear. It's a studio, so it's like very small. So like, I would change in the closet so they just thought I was changing. Junie is my friend's dog, an actual angel on this planet. Also a Pisces. It was a Pisces full moon. Everyone was Piscean, okay? The Pisces placements were Piscean. And she was freaking out. My friend told me she's never seen her dog like that frantic about getting into the closet, like pawing, sniffing, scratching, whining, barking, like literally just freaking out. Like, I need to get into this closet. And my friend was like, Junie, what are you doing? What are you doing? She's changing. Let her have a moment. And then they checked on me and saw that I was sobbing into the clothes. And they took me out of the closet and were like, let's talk about this, right? Like, we're here. All of your best friends are outside and you're crying into your clothes. What's going on here? All hugged around me, and it just felt so good to cry and like to feel support. And like afterward, you know, I really did feel the sensation of like lightness when I woke up, because I was like, whoa, I didn't know I was holding on to all that until I like finally gave myself permission to cry and like let that out, and also allow myself to be held by others. Because I also want to say, you know, if you're having a major eclipse story, like, reach out for people for support. This Cancer moon, allow yourself to feel nurtured. If you're not going through an intense time this eclipse season, really be there for those who are going through it. Like, it's so important to realize that we don't all have the same eclipse story, and to also know, like, if you're someone like me who'd rather cry in a closet than say, hey girls, I'm upset, can we talk about it, right? Like, sometimes people want to help you. Like, one of my friends even told me that night, she's like, when you don't let me in, you deny me the opportunity to support you, which is what I want to do, because that's what you do for me. And I was like, oh my gosh, wow. Because, like, you know, you get it. If you're a Virgo moon, Capricorn moon, you know, something of that nature within your chart, you get it. That sometimes it could just feel like you need to personally take care of you, get it together, and then go out and be a normal person, right? But sometimes people do really want to help you. So being conscious around reaching out for support. Like I said, it doesn't feel like Wednesday is like a bad day. It feels like either a happy cry or just an emotional release that feels good. It feels renewing in some way. So whether you call to check in on your friends to be like, are you guys doing good? Just remember, we have support around you. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to ask for support. It's okay to ask for nurturing. You know, eclipses are intense, okay? If anything, just call up your friend and be like, girly girl, what is going on with this energy? So all that to say, if you do feel like you want to have a big emotional response, whether it's love or emotions, like, we're just a little extra on Wednesday. I was so extra crying in the closet to my clothes. Like, that was so extra. But sometimes being extra and just allowing things and your emotions to be big does create a pathway forward for healing, right? Sometimes things have to get worse. I had to ruin my makeup. I had to sob. I had to tell them all that stuff for it to get better, right? Sometimes things do have to come out in the open. And also just with the Cancer moon trining Neptune Pisces, great time to pray, great time to divinate, check in. Like I've been highlighting, eclipses are a deeply spiritual time, right? So really taking that opportunity to connect to your spirit, right? To tune in what is coming to the surface, as well as do things that nurture your spirit, long walks, prayers, meditation, baths, whatever soothes you. And the moon will be void until the moon enters Leo at 11:30, which can make our emotional spaces a little bit more bold, a little bit more heart-centered. Certainly the emotions don't stop being extra when the moon ingresses into Leo, and we can feel more apt to express ourselves creatively, allow our light to shine. And that evening, the moon is building to oppose Pluto. So emotions can feel fraught, things can feel intense. That won't technically exact until the following day, but just a heads up to have on Wednesday. On Thursday, the 27th, things can feel a little intense. I won't lie to you. Like, we start off the day, this really exacts at 12:31, so you can feel it Wednesday night as well as early Thursday morning, but the Leo moon opposes Pluto in Aquarius, which is plunging our emotions down to a very intense place, whether we're sort of like grieving for humanity, collective issues with Pluto and Aquarius, feeling things with our heart space very, very intensely, or you're feeling your own pulls, what's transpiring within your life really intensely. There's like a strong plunge deep down into that space, which can be intense. There can be elements of your life that do feel out of your own control. And there can be a strong desire to want to lash out because of that. Because Thursday is the day that Mars in Cancer squares off with Chiron in Aries, which is that energy around things have to get worse sometimes. Our healing journey has to get a little bit worse sometimes for it to get better. Sometimes things have to come out in the open for us to create the pathway forward. That's why when it comes to going to therapy, it gets kind of a mess. You're like, whoa, I just wanted to come to talk about my relationship. Why are we talking about my childhood? Why are we talking about this? Like, why is all of this stuff coming out? And a lot of times there can be that desire to want to lash out and be like, no, you are just trying to get more money from me. That's why you're making me talk about all this other stuff. That's not the problem. This is the problem, right? Or as well as if there is an insecurity triggered, wanting to go on the offense, right? Like for me, crying in the closet, my reaction was to be like, no, I'm fine. No, I'm fine. Don't worry about me. Don't worry about me. Just let me cry in the closet. Or if someone says something to us, being on the offense, like, what do you mean by that? We're just a little bit more reactive, and we're coming from a very wounded part of ourselves, right? It's making us react very impulsively due to those intense emotions, right? Because Mars in Cancer is answering to that Leo moon opposing Pluto. We can be a little bit paranoid, okay? I'll be forthright with the moon opposing Pluto. Paranoid, freaking out about the future, feeling out of control of things. Again, focus on what it is that you have control over in this point in time, and be mindful around where you are reacting in a very knee-jerk fashion due to what is coming up. With Mars in Cancer, we're extra sensitive, right? And with the square to Chiron, we're reacting from a very emotional, wounded part of ourselves where we just want to lash out. Like if we've been hurt, we want other people to hurt. If we're at the therapist, then we're talking about all this stuff. You're like, you're just trying to get more of my money. I just came to talk about my relationship. Why are we talking about my childhood? There's that desire to want to like lash out. You don't know what you're talking about, right? Or like within a relationship, all of this stuff comes out, and rather than being proactive around, okay, how are we going to solve it? Being like, well, you don't care about me. Well, you don't care about me. Or like even wanting to impulsively run away or something of that nature. It's not safe to trust you, so I'm just going to do something impulsive to run away from this wounding rather than genuinely creating the pathway forward. As well as with relationships, at work, we can be lashing out from a wounded part of ourselves. Somebody talks over us at work and like being really, really aggressive and intense, like, you never listen to me. Are you right? You are. But with Mars square Chiron, just being mindful around not reacting from that very erratic emotional space, especially from that deep wound. Because again, it can feel irrational to other people, but they don't understand the sore spot that triggered within us, right? Like maybe being talked over at the meeting table, that felt like not a big deal. You know, everyone was just excited brainstorming, but it just brings you back to certain elements within past relationships where you never felt listened to. It's the essentially first quarter moon as we build to next week's Scorpio lunar eclipse. Things feel intense and we're not seeing things necessarily clearly. And with moon opposite Pluto, we're being paranoid, we're being obsessive, we're feeling out of control. And with Mars square Chiron, just being mindful around not reacting impulsively or even running away from the work, right? Because it feels too deep or it feels like such a mess. You took all this stuff out of the closet and now it's all here and it's like, well, never mind, I'm just changing my mind. Can be energy here. And really, when I thought of vibe check, I'm telling you, I write down all the aspects and then I just sit down and I just pay attention to what comes up within my mind's eye, what I see, what I hear, what have you. Sometimes I'll hear songs or what have you. This week, I saw a meme. So this entire vibe check was inspired by this meme where it's like, I'm going to fight these demons. And it's like, these demons have hands, right? Like oftentimes when we take any action to better our life, whether that is, going to therapy, finally reaching out for help, letting our friends support us, finally changing a habit that we have been ensnared in, there's this exciting period at the beginning where things feel very good. I think in sobriety, it's referred to as the pink glow, I believe, where it's like when you make that decision to better your life, at first it's like, oh great. It's like, I feel so good. I feel euphoric. I'm doing this. It's like all excited. Like I'm going to fight these demons, or like I'm going to get sober. I'm going to clear out this pattern. I'm going to fix my relationship. Like at first you're like, yes, I've got this. And then the demons have hands. These relationship patterns have hands. These habits have hands. Like, whoa, okay, this is a lot, right? Sometimes things get worse before they get better. Sometimes you have to kind of put everything out to be like, okay, what are we doing about this, right? Sometimes you have to take a moment to rest, reset as you continue doing this work. Improving our life isn't always this joyous, like, I'm just improving my life and I'm healing and I'm releasing these patterns. Sometimes it is pretty intense, right? We're dealing with these really big topics around patterns we've been ensnared in for years and dynamics that have kept coming up within a relationship and, trauma that we're working through. Like these are intense arenas. And so, you could take a pause from fighting your demons, but don't give up because the energy with Mars square Chiron is feeling somewhat defeated. With Mars square Chiron, this can be energy around wanting to run away from it. Again, wanting to go on the offense. You're wrong, right? Because of this. So all I would say, take a pause, take a sip of water, and continue fighting those demons, right? Because our life does not change until we do. And we're just not seeing it totally clearly on Thursday, so do not give up, right? And like I always say with Chiron stuff, it's like it triggers something, but observe what's being triggered and reserve what your go-to knee-jerk reaction would be and find the gap time. Like I said with Mercury retrograde, it's totally fine to say, can I give you an answer tomorrow? Can we talk about this next week? Like I'm telling you, do not rush anything while Mercury's retrograde, and especially with Mars square Chiron, we could be reacting around, well, I'll just get a new roommate. Well, I'm just going to get out of this relationship, like from a very wounded part of ourselves, which obviously is just trying to keep ourselves safe. But especially on Thursday, we're just not seeing it that clearly, especially since we have this tinge of the first quarter moon in the air, which is the crisis of action is what it's called. It does tend to be a more impulsive now or never energy. So just checking in. It's not now or never, okay? We can discuss this in a little bit of time. Just observe what's being kind of triggered within you. If you need to take a pause from fighting the demons, that's fine, but don't give up. You've got this. So on Friday, the 28th, our emotional world can feel very up and down. The Leo moon squares Mercury and Taurus. So definitely some technical difficulties. I'm so sorry if you've been already experiencing it. Oh my goodness. And with this, it's really the battle between what's logical, what's practical, and like Leo moon is like the heart wants what it wants, right? Like this battle between the head and the heart, right? And when it comes to the Leo moon squaring Mercury, we can know something's good for us and still feel like we want to go back to, whether it's old ways or what have you. Like, our comfort zone's called that for a reason. It's comfortable. Doing things as we always have done them is comfortable. It can be very scary to contemplate a new way of being, right? A new way of doing things. And you can know something's good for you and still kind of cling to things that aren't necessarily good for you, which just feels like Friday's moon aspects are sort of a microcosm of that big picture theme that's coming to the surface. And with the Leo moon squaring Uranus, our emotional world can feel very volatile, erratic. There could be unexpected events, unexpected weather, unexpected technological difficulties, okay, with Mercury retrograde. And really with this energy of the battle in the head and heart, we can misunderstand people, certainly. Like the capacity to do so on Thursday night and Friday is high, okay? So over communicate, like I keep saying, and we could be very stubborn. We could be very set in our ways, not finding easy time to contemplate somebody else's perspective, because again, Leo moon is passionate, lives by the heart. So it's like, how can you see things that way? I see them this way, right? It's like kind of butting heads within that kind of scenario. there is kind of some positive energy on Friday to enjoy life truly. The Leo moon trines Chiron in Aries, which is around doing things that make us feel confident. And then on Friday, I'm not huge on going out during eclipses. I still live my life. I still, do what it is that I need to do. But all I'm saying is, if you're feeling a little overwhelmed, I'm not saying you need to go out or anything of that nature. But what I will say is that Friday is a lovely time to be social, to recharge your battery around people that you hold dear, or even just new strangers that you want to connect with, because the Leo moon sextiles Venus in Gemini, and then early Saturday, but we'll feel it on Friday, the Leo moon trines Jupiter in Aries. So we could be in the mood for the adventure, in the mood to dress up, in the mood to be a little extra, right? Blow off some steam, have a little fun. It's been an intense week, right? Like after my friends, took me out of the closet, we all cried together in her studio. Then the sun was rising. Okay, it was 6 a.m. at that point. Keep in mind, I had not slept for 24 hours. So I do think, yes, there was some stuff I was going through, but also I think it was definitely sleep deprivation. But, the fun kept going. We got ready for brunch and the good times kept rolling. Sometimes we just need to cry it out in order to, go back to living our life to the fullest or what have you. I'd also say my creatives, lovely time for that. If you want to just take yourself on a date, music date, writing date, poetry date, be a little extra. Why just, sip your water from a glass when you could do so from some fun glassware, or just finding little ways to add a little extra, add a little fun to life. It is Venus Day after all. So on Saturday the 29th, the moon is void in Leo at 3:53 a.m. So Saturday morning is a great morning to just luxuriate, enjoy life, be a little extra, wear the silk PJs, request breakfast in bed, go for a long walk, do things to luxuriate and to enjoy life. Trust me, there will be time for the task, there is time for the responsibilities. The moon is just about to enter Virgo. Fear not. We will get to the tasks and the responsibilities. The moon enters Virgo at 11:59 a.m. And this is sort of the energy. So like I said, Mars square Chiron is sort of the energy of walking out of the therapist's office being like, you're just trying to get money from me. There's nothing wrong from me. Leave me alone. Again, if you make other things the problem, you deny yourself the opportunity for self-reflection. If it's like, no, it's just this within my life, or no, it's just these external circumstances. Absolutely, there can be unpleasant external circumstances in life. I'm not negating that, but denying ourselves the opportunity to reflect around what is the role that I've been playing here? How can I use this as an opportunity for me to grow, right? And it can be hard to have that prod to work on ourselves, right? We can go on the offensive, which was the Mars square Chiron. Saturday feels like the energy where you're like, okay, my therapist was kind of right. I feel embarrassed for how I lashed out. I was being a little much with that. Let me go back. Let me see if I can really change my life, because that is the energy of Mars sextile Uranus, which happens on Saturday. Now, this can play out in many different ways, okay? One of which, in a very mundane way with Mars sextile Uranus, could be a new workout, literally just doing something to move your body in a different way that feels really good. Again, another sort of reminder that our life does not change until we do, right? We can think, I want to start working out, I want to start working out, I want to start working out, but we won't magically, wake up on a hike until we take action towards finding a way of moving our body that feels really good. So that could be a micro way of this. Also, advocating for ourselves in new ways. Maybe some of you are around somebody who is very domineering that you don't often stand up to, and this could be energy around standing up to them. Again, Mars in Cancer, so perhaps in an emotionally, intelligent, responsive way. But in light of the vibe check, I also want to add this potential manifestation that with Mars in Cancer, sextile Uranus, it's finding new ways of using your energy, right? Instead of reacting in a very knee-jerk way, being like, okay, what do I need to do in order to create new results, right? Definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again. And sometimes we do need to contemplate new ways of doing things if we want to create change, genuine change in your life. I was so inspired, guys. Every time I meet with you guys, in a consultation, I'm always so inspired by what you share. And I won't give any personal details on this, but I was so inspired by sitting down with somebody who basically said there was a significant milestone birthday that this individual had where they changed everything for themselves. They literally just decided, no, I'm going to take my life in a different direction. It's hard to change. There's inertia. There's certain ways that we've been ingrained to react. It's hard to change. It's hard to look at ourselves and witness certain patterns that we've been stuck in and to intentionally choose a new path. But you do have the ability to change, not everything, right? Like, certain aspects of our life are out of control at this moment, but paying attention this week to what can I control, right? Maybe I'm still locked into a lease with these roommates. What can I control? How can I create new results within my life? Because if you are like me and you're just getting sick of yourself and certain patterns that you have been stuck in, like, this is a really positive week to sort of look inward and be like, okay, what are some new ways that I need to allocate my energy? What are some new ways that I need to advocate for myself? What are some new ways that I need to move my body in order to genuinely create change within my life? That's Uranus and Taurus. And as promised, on Saturday, you will be in the mood to handle your responsibilities and your chores. Saturday is Saturn's day, and compounded by the Virgo moon, which handles the tasks, the responsibilities. Again, this desire to, okay, I do want to improve. Like, Virgo is the energy of improvement, of this quest towards perfection, which of course is never found. We're never perfect, but it does take that decision to view ourselves through this constructively critical lens, not always constructively, honestly, of the Virgo moon, to be like, okay, what are some ways that I can improve myself, right? And with the Mars sextile, Uranus also supporting that. But with the Virgo moon, it has us more in the mood to handle our tasks and responsibilities, the little details of our life. With the opposition to Saturn, our responsibilities can feel a bit crushing, overwhelming, a lot to do, a lot of laundry, a lot of stuff goes into the maintenance of being a human. Would be a great day for just handling routine maintenance around the house. Like I said, with Mercury retrograde, things can go wrong. You ordered something, it's late, or something of that nature, but it's a great day to handle the to-dos because you're more in the mood to handle the annoying, essentially, musts and responsibilities of living that I don't remember signing up for. Do you remember signing up for all this? I don't personally remember signing up for this. And then on Sunday, April 30th, the moon is still in Virgo all day, and it makes some nice trines to the Taurus placements, making it a beautiful day to play outside, enjoy this beautiful planet. I'm telling you, our senses, this planet, enjoyment, these are all such important pieces to navigating this time, okay? Connect to your body, even if you're feeling sort of like overwhelmed. You're like, how can I connect to my body? There's all this stuff going on within my personal life. That makes it even more important. Like, you know, it's a Virgo moon, it's Mars sextile Uranus. This might not be a message for everybody, but I do want to highlight, if you have been like, oh, I should move my body, I need to move my body more. Like, I find that literally the movement of my body is a form of meditation. It is a prayer. It is, you know, in those micro ways, when you show up for yourself consistently, you build self-trust, and it just makes it easier to navigate every aspect of your life because you rely on yourself to take care of yourself. And for that 1 hour, you're just dedicating towards feeling good, nourishing your mental. Like, that's literally why I work out, is for this right here. And having that consistently within my life, no matter what's happening, just allows me to find that grounded pace. Even when my life feels really disruptive, I know that I can rely on myself to move my body in ways that feel good. I know that I'm going to give myself the good brain chemicals that I need every so often. Of course, that's just one attribute, but I just want to say, you know, for a lot of us, it's springtime. Get outside, enjoy this planet, move your body if you're able to, find something that makes you feel good, as well as just with the Virgo moon trining these Taurus placements, it can feel good to just get things done. Maybe if you're feeling overwhelmed with that Virgo moon opposite Saturn around, oh, I have to call this company and get this straightened out, and there's just like so much to do. Sometimes it can feel very positive and nourishing to just have some momentum forward, like that energy around taking out all the clothes and feeling overwhelmed, feeling bogged down because you have so much from your house to clean and to organize. But sometimes just building that inertia around just handling one piece at a time can be super supportive. So on Sunday, great day to ground down, enjoy nature, build some positive inertia, build some momentum towards what it is that you value. My loves, our Magic Monday mantra of the week is, I look for ways to positively change my behavior. It is not easy to create change, and just looking for opportunities to show up differently. I'm not saying you need to change your whole life. Like I said, eclipse season is wait and see. Let things settle. Take this opportunity to reflect, go slow. Make sure that you're not running away from this particular chapter, eager to start the new one, without even wrapping up the lessons that you are learning here, right? Every single lesson of life school essentially presents us certain themes to master. And if you try to skip a grade, you will essentially be in that new grade learning the exact same curriculum and be like, wait, why does the same theme keep coming up in my relationships? Why does the same theme keep coming up within my roommates? It's because we haven't mastered the lesson, right? And it takes that humility to be like, you know, I'm not perfect. You know, I do have areas to work on. You know, maybe I do have something within here that I can essentially learn from or heal, or a pattern that I can, you know, walk away from. It's not that everybody needs to go to therapy this week, but it's just an example around how when we make that decision around, okay, I recognize that there's dynamics in my life that I want to heal from, I want to learn from, I want to move forward from. And it takes us being able to be vulnerable in that way, as well as to admit, you know, I don't have it all figured out. Maybe I do have aspects of myself that I can work on. Maybe there are certain arenas of my life that I can improve. And just looking for those ways to improve our lives, right? Like eclipses make things feel very wacky. Makes things feel very out of our hands. It doesn't have to be this major lifestyle change. Some people can be contemplating a major lifestyle change, certainly, but maybe it's just recommitting towards those habits that do genuinely ground you and support you, especially during turbulent times like this. Maybe it's taking that opportunity to really look inward and say, okay, maybe I do need to apologize from that. Now I do kind of see your perspective. I had to step out of my own for a little bit. Finding those little ways that we can afford ourselves this ability to grow and to change and to evolve past these patterns that we've been ensnared in, because I would say that's part of the reason that we are here on Earth in life school. So my loves, thank you so much for tuning in. My Instagram handle is @HaleyCommentAstrology. My TikTok is the same. Let's connect. What has eclipse season been bringing your way? Are you okay? Let's just all vent and support each other, because girl, what was that last week? Oh God. You know, we just got to keep on keeping on, and I'm certainly going to use this week to reflect on the part that I